Hello. In this lecture video, we are going to talk about the second software process activity, that is software design and implementation. The implementation stage of software development is the process of converting a system specification, which we have done as the first software process activity, into an executable system. It almost always involves the process of software design and programming. But if you're using an incremental approach to development where each increment delivers an added functionality to the existing system, then this software process activity may also involve refinement of software specification. Let's see what a software design is. A software design is a description of the structure of the software that is to be implemented. This may include data models, structures used by the system, the interfaces between the system components, and even the algorithms used. Designers usually work on the design iteratively. It is not always feasible for the designers to get the design correct in the first attempt. So they always end up adding formality and detail as they develop their design with constant feedback from the earlier designs to add correction. Let's look at the diagram on the slide. This shows a general model of the design process. The design process model has three phases or three levels. At the first level, you have design inputs, which could be platform information, requirement specification, and data description. At the second phase, you have a variety of design activities defined by the kind of software system you're going to develop. In the third stage, you have design outputs which are generated as outcome of these design activities. Let's take up each of these phases in detail. The design inputs. Most softwares interact or interface with other software systems. These software systems may include the operating system, the databases, middleware, and other application systems. This makes up the platform of the system. Information of the platform is crucial input to the design, as this helps the designers understand how to integrate your software into its existing software environment. Platform information may include information about the operating system, the database, and how your software is supposed to interact with other application systems. The second kind of design input, the requirement specification. The requirement specification is the description of the functionality that your software will deliver. This may include functional requirements which define what is the output that is going to be produced by your system. The requirement specification will also include the non-functional requirement which may define how reliable your software system is. Is it available whenever it is invoked? Your requirement specification may also write about performance requirements, which may include how quickly your software responds to user input. The next kind of input to the design activity is the data description. If your system is using or processing existing data, which is already defined, then this data description is going to be included as part of platform information. If not, data description becomes a separate design input. Data description may define the data type, the data structure, the type, how the data is organized, and so on. Let's move on to the next phase. So this comprises your design inputs, that is the platform information, the requirement specification, and data description. Let's go on to the second stage or the second phase of the design process, the design activities. The activities in the design process greatly vary depending on the type of the software system that is going to be produced. For example, if you're developing a real-time system where not just producing the correct input is important, but equally important is that the software produces the correct input, correct output at the correct time. So here, along with accuracy, timing matters. With such a software product, database design, which is a design activity, may not take priority. Instead, a timing design may be put in place. So there are four design activities defined here: the architectural design, the interface design, the component design, and the database design. Again, all of these may not be a part of the design activities for your software. It depends on the kind of software you're going to produce. Let's take up each of these activities in detail. Architectural design. This is where you identify the overall structure of the system, the principal components, which are sometimes called as subsystems or modules, the relationship between these modules or subsystems, and how they are placed and distributed. This comprises your overall high level view of the system, nothing but the system's architecture. The second design activity, the interface design. This is where you define the interfaces between the system components. As you know, a software cannot be monolithic big software. It's usually divided into components or pieces where each component delivers one set of functionality. Now, for components to talk to each other or work with each other, they need an interface in between. When you design different components, if one component wants to communicate with another component, the component need not know how the other component is implemented, but it should only know how to use the interface in order to communicate with the other components. Let's take an example of a car. When you drive a car, all you need to know is how to manage the steering wheel, the gearbox, the pedals that are the accelerator, brake, and clutch. There is no way that a driver needs to know what happens underneath the hood, how the engine is working, or how the transmission system is working, how fuel ignition and the spark plug are working. All they need to know is how to use the interface, that is the steering wheel, the gearbox, and the pedals. Same thing goes with software systems. When we design software, we break them down into components, and if two components have to interact with each other, which they definitely will, all they need to know is how to invoke the interface. So these interfaces between various components of the software have to be designed and implemented unambiguously without any confusion. This lets you to design and develop different components simultaneously or in parallel, because the design and implementation of one component no way will affect the design and implementation of another component as long as there is a sturdy and a well-established interface in between. Let's go to the next part of the design, the component design. This is where you take each of the system component and design it independently. This may be a simple statement which defines the expected functionality the component must deliver, or it could be a list of changes you need to put into this component just in case you're reusing an existing component. The last part of the design is the database design. This is where you design the system's data structures and how these are to be represented in the database. Again, the work done in database design greatly depends on whether you're using an existing database or a new database is to be created. So these are the second phase of the design process, that is the design activities. These include the architectural design, which will define the overall system architecture, the component design, where you define how each component is designed and what functionality the component should deliver. If components are to be interacting with each other without much dependency between on each other, then you also need to define and design correct unambiguous interfaces. Finally, you need a place, a store where all data produced by the system, generated by the system, or used by the system needs to be stored in a well-structured and well-organized way. And you have a database design for that. Now, you have a series of design outputs which are produced as a result of performing these design activities. Architectural design will give you an entire systems architecture. Database design is going to give you a database specification document. The interface design will give you an interface specification document, and the components design will give you component specification for each of these components. Remember, the detail and representation of these design outputs vary considerably. This again depends on the type of software system you're going to produce. For critical systems, your detailed design document may simply be precise and accurate descriptions of the system. If you're using a model-driven approach, then the output may be mostly diagrams. If you're using agile methods of development, your outputs may not be documents at all, they may be simply pieces of code. Do not worry about these design and development systems. We will study a little bit of them, a little bit of detail of them in detail in the upcoming lecture videos. Normally, programmers carry out some kind of testing of the code they have developed. This often reveals program defects that must be eliminated from the program. Let's know what is the difference between debugging and testing. Defect testing and debugging are different processes. Testing establishes the existence of defects. That is, when you test your software system, it shows whether the system is working fine or if there are presence of defects. Debugging, on the other hand, is concerned with identifying, locating these defects or bugs and eliminating them from the code. Testing can be done in a variety of ways. You can manually trace your program, you can have reviews and inspections, you can write test cases, you can have interactive debugging tools which will tell you what are the different intermediate values your program produces, and you can test your programs based on this. Do not worry about that now. We will look into what test cases are in detail. Let me give you a quick example of what a test case may look like. You may have to define a scenario or a circumstance in which you're going to execute your program. This also allows you to define the input you're going to provide to the program. Once you have the circumstance and the input, when you execute your program, what should be the expected behavior of your program or expected output your program should give should be written in advance. Once you have these three things in place, that is the circumstance of the scenario with the input and the expected way your program should behave, you're going to actually run the program or execute the program in the same scenario with the same inputs. Now you're going to see how your program actually behaves. If the program's actual behavior matches with the expected behavior that you have written even before you could execute the program, this shows that your program or component is working perfectly fine. This is a small example of what a test case looks like. Based on this, you can define or you can say if your test case has failed or passed. So this is about the second process activity, software design and implementation. Thank you.